It's going to get fairly loud in here. In a few seconds, the plant is going to start up again. They just got off of their lunch break, so it will get kind of loud in here. So I usually have no problem talking loud enough. My name is Chris Miller, and I am the recycling coordinator for Outagamie County. And it is my job to do education for all of our residents within the county, as well as businesses. I'm also in charge of our curbside collection to all the households to pick up recycling every other week at all of our households throughout the county. We're kind of unique in that Outagamie County is the responsible government to take care of recycling collection and processing for every city, town, and village. Where in Oshkosh or in Winnebago County, every city, town, and village has their own recycling collection program where they hire their own contracted hauler. But in Outagamie County, there's one hauler that picks up for all of the residents within the county. So this facility is owned by the three counties, Brown, Winnebago, and Outagamie County. It's stationed here. We're centrally located between the three counties. We also share in landfill services. Winnebago County had closed their landfill last year, and we opened a cell here that you guys are going to go out and see in a little while. When our landfill is full in about 9 years, then Brown County will take a turn at having a landfill up there. So then we'll transfer all of our trash up to Brown County, but we will always be the centrally located recycling facility where Brown and Winnebago transfer their recyclables to this facility every day. So we're going to watch a short video about the process of the recycling, basically from your household and what happens to the recyclables, and then to actually selling the material, and then we'll take some questions and answers after the video.
The Tri-County Single Stream Recycling Facility.
Yes. What is single stream recycling? Single stream recycling is when you can combine all of your recyclables into one container. So that's when we can have the rolled carts, kind of like this black one here. People now have large carts like these now, so you can put all of your material into one bin. Some communities don't have the rolled carts and they still set out bins like these at the curb, but they can still combine everything into one bin. We have those disc screens that they talked about, and that separates the paper from the containers, and that's how we can have single stream, because of the disc screens that we have. When we take a quick walk out there in a little bit, you'll see all of the disc screens are painted green for your visual so you can see. And then off of each of the screens is the paper that was collected from the screen. And we have people out there looking at that material, making sure it's clean. Yep. Any other questions? Yes.
So what's the reason for this kind of
The reason for the single stream approach?
Yeah.
There were several reasons why we went to single stream. One was that before we built this facility, Brown County was accepting all of the containers. So we used to have to separate our containers in one bin, and all the paper would go in another bin, which we call a dual stream. So all the containers from the three counties would get shipped to Brown County, and they would separate them from one another at Brown County. And we took in the paper here in Outagamie County and separated all the paper from one another. Well, both of our facilities were getting very old, and we needed a new recycling facility. So instead of investing $8 million at Brown County and another $8 million here, we decided to pool all the money together and build one facility where all the material could come together. This facility cost $10 million, so we had some cost savings there. And also, there were some communities that knew about single stream recycling because it's very easy, it's very popular on the coastal regions. So when people would move into our communities and they had single stream recycling, they wanted it here too, because it's really easy to take one cart out to the curb versus sometimes I have to carry 5 bins back and forth to my garage and out to the curb. When people are giving these large carts, there's a lot of room inside of them. So sometimes if people only had one bin like that at home, they would throw some of their recyclables in the trash if they didn't have enough room. Now they get these large carts and there's more room for the material, so less is going into the trash. So there's many reasons why we went to single stream, so those are just a few of them. Yes?
You had mentioned, of course, Winnebago closed, so now everything's coming here. What is the timeline for this place and then for Brown County to fill up? And then what are your plans afterwards?
Okay, so that's for the landfill. Landfill will take turns being in different locations. Winnebago County no longer has any land available for a landfill. So they will always have to transfer their trash either to Outagamie or Brown, or 25 years from now come up with a different alternative. Our landfill that we have open right now, it was projected to last 10 years. We're 1 year into it already, so we have about another 9 years to go in our existing landfill here. Then Brown County will take a turn. When theirs fills up, we'll probably open another landfill cell here. We do have more land available on our property here. And Brown County, I think, has like 100 years of landfill purchased. So if we keep our nice family partnership going, we should be well into the next 100 years with our landfill needs. But that doesn't mean that we'll always do landfilling. We're currently looking at the possibility of new technologies. There's probably other ways that might be better, more efficient, less costly to deal with trash. But we will always be the centrally located recycling facility here. Any other questions? I'm going to start handing out. When we go walk out there, everyone needs to use ear protection and eye protection. If you wear eyeglasses, you don't have to use safety glasses, so if you want to take them and just start passing them around. And we can keep answering questions if you have questions. All right. We also have this video available on our Facebook page. So I really would like it if you would like us on Facebook. It's Outagamie County Recycling. And then in the photos, you guys are all familiar with Facebook. Our video is in there. So if you need to go back and watch the video for any of your questions, it's available. Yes?
I've got a 4 of the 5 pieces on it that you don't touch.
Okay. He's wondering what other paper products we do not collect. It's easier to talk about the things that we don't collect because we collect most paper. The paper mills have gotten quite good with their technologies and to be able to take paper and recycle most of it. The number one thing we like to talk about is paper that's contaminated with food or grease. So this is a good example that you're probably all very familiar with, these pizza boxes and pizza plates. All the grease and food that is on here doesn't mix well with all the water that they use to repulp paper. So the paper mills can't handle food-contaminated, grease-contaminated paper. Also, wrapping paper, gift wrap. The reason the paper mills don't want the gift wrap is many times people will put in all the ribbons and bows. Some gift wrap is made from a film plastic or a foil. So it's just easiest to tell people that we don't want gift wrap at all. Currently, we are unable to recycle these milk and juice cartons. We're doing a pilot project with them right now. There's one paper mill in Green Bay that now has the technology to actually remove the plastic coating from the outside and the inside of these containers. Behind that coating of plastic, there's pure white virgin paper. All the print is printed on the plastic. So our paper mills didn't have the technology to remove those plastics, but now one in Green Bay has invested in the technology to remove the plastic off of this paper. So we're doing a pilot project with some local schools, pulling off their milk cartons from the lunchrooms and having them recycled. We're hoping within the next year we can tell everyone to give us all the milk and juice cartons. But currently this would be a paper product that we would not be collecting. Some other things. Most junk mail is recyclable. Unless you get something that has so much plastic adhered to the paper, this would be too much plastic for the paper mill to handle. So this is an envelope that has bubble wrap adhered to it. So this would have to go in the trash. Another example is these goldfish containers. You can see the aluminum foil that lines this paper. Again, it's adhered to it, and paper mills can't handle that either. So, is that enough? Got enough examples? All right. Anyone else? Are you going to come out with this, Shannon?
Yeah. Oh, okay, one more question.
Yes.
Can all the number one and number two plastics be recycled?
If they have a narrow neck and a screw cap. The question was, can all the number one and number two plastics be recycled? The reason for that is this is a number two plastic and this is a number two plastic. They're both chemically the same. The only difference is when they make this jug, they blow air into a very thin sheet of plastic to form the jug. When they create this pail, they inject the plastic into a mold and stamp it. So it's a little bit thicker. When they take these plastics and chip them up and melt them down, they have different melting points, so they can't be mixed together. We can only find a buyer that will make something new out of this narrowed neck bottle. We can't find anyone that will make anything new out of this pail. The markets are getting a little bit better for these pails and for some of the 4 and 5 plastics. So we're also looking at including them, but at this time it's just the 1 and 2 bottles. Does that make sense? And another thing too is that these are both number 2 plastics. This is a natural HDPE, and this is a colored HDPE. We get more money for our milk jugs than we do for our colored HDPE. So we separate these by hand and bale them and sell them separately because they're worth more money. There's a chart over here that kind of shows these are the different items that we collect from residents and separate and bale separately. On the left-hand side here is the average weight of one of those bales, and we'll see some examples of the bales when we're out there. And on the right-hand side is what we were getting paid per ton. So per 2,000 pounds, that's the price back in March last month that we were getting paid. As you can see, aluminum is our favorite thing to get here. But really, we only get about 1% of our stream is aluminum. But it's 20% of our revenue. So it's a very high value, but it doesn't weigh very much, as you can see. This rigid down here, this is a plastic bale that we pull off these waste plastics on our pre-sort line before all the material comes into the facility. So some people will give us things like little Tykes toys, little kids' swimming pools, laundry baskets, really odd, large plastic pieces. When we originally opened the facility, these items were having to go into the landfill because we couldn't find anyone to buy them. Now they're getting shipped to China, and we're getting paid $20 a ton for that material when it used to go into the landfill, and we had to actually pay to put it in the landfill. So now we have a revenue source from it. Then we also learned that we import so much material from China. All these ships coming here to bring us all this stuff. And then the ships were going back empty. So now we're at least putting something on that back load so the ships aren't going back empty. So we're pretty happy when we found that market. So you'll see examples of all these bales when we go out into the facility. Yeah?
What's like the 3 arrows on
The 3 arrows on the recycling symbol, the chasing arrows, there's a couple different ones, and I know Shannon, I usually have you explain this one. The closing the loop, right? That's the one that
life
you
cycle of
teach.
the product,
Yeah,
yes.
the life cycle of the product. So you guys go to the store and you buy your laundry detergent bottle, and you go home and you use your laundry detergent, and you put this in the recycling bin. We come and pick it up, we bring it here, we sell it to someone, and they make a new laundry detergent bottle out of it again. So it just keeps getting reused. It's closing that loop.
And then it's you buying that product once the recycled product
Yeah.
comes back on the shelf.
Right. Our paper is pretty much a closed loop here in the valley because our paper mills make the paper products that we buy. Then we buy them, we take them home, we recycle them, we bring them here, and we sell them back to the paper mill where they make tissue products out of them. Most of the public restrooms that you see, the tissue products in our public restrooms, maybe even at your schools, come from our paper mills here in Wisconsin that come from our recycle mills. So that's kind of neat to know that it's closing the loop really locally with the paper. Another one that I have heard is the reduce, reuse, recycle. And recycle is named last because actually it takes energy and resources to recycle. You know, all the electricity that's being used right now to run this facility, all the trucks that come collect and ship it back to the manufacturers. There's a lot of energy being created in recycling, but reducing and reusing, no energy at all. So we would suggest that you reduce first and then reuse and then recycle. Trash obviously would be last. All right, well, we can take a quick walk out there.
It's not really clearly on the camera. Those people over there are sending that material out to this conveyor belt. Very good. For the number 2 color. I don't think it might be. No, I don't think so. It might be dirty or something. Yeah. Oh, it is. Back there, Carter. Oh, I see it, yep. Oh, wow, it's still up on the camera. Okay. And this is the tin can. Coming right off the bank. That's cool. Yeah. I think it's very basic and it makes a lot of sense to explain to you, but if you not had it explained, it's kind of hard to. Yeah.
They get pneumatically blown into there from over there. There's a vacuum, and that vacuum comes. So we have to put a lid on it so they can pop that load. Yeah. And then the aluminum is over.
This is natural number 2.
Yeah.
Color number 2.
All right, so we're going to answer the questions in the lab manual. Okay, well, welcome to the Outagamie County Landfill. This is presently the resting place for your garbage that you throw away in Oshkosh. You throw away. This is the way that you throw away too. So she talked about Bo. Chris Miller talked about Bo, which was an agreement. Do you remember what the agreement was all about? Yep, Amber?
Outagamie County would be the recycling portion, and then the other 2 counties would be the ones that did the facilities management, like brought it all in and running stations, things like that.
Yeah, well, Outagamie County is now taking all waste, so it's taking the materials recovery facility has been here. It's always been the one taking all the recyclables. And then our waste in Oshkosh used to go to the Winnebago County landfill up until about 2 years ago, and now it comes up to Outagamie County. And when Outagamie County landfill is full, which is projected to be, it's not going to be that terribly long. It's within, I think, like, I want to say 10 years. When it's full, then all of the waste is going to be going to Brown County. But the material recovery facility, it will always be where the recyclables go. And the reason is because all the little landfills and dumps had to close, and we had to consolidate to bigger landfills. So now it's actually more economical for all of our garbage to go to one big landfill, actually travel. I mean, our garbage from Oshkosh is going to go all the way up to Brown County, and it's more efficient to do it that way than it is to run our own landfill in Oshkosh. Okay, so what I want to do is go through the history of trash a little bit, just to help you understand how we've gotten to the point today where we have one gigantic landfill for 3 counties, and what all goes into making sure that it maintains sanitary conditions for us. Okay, so first of all, picture back before we had landfills, before we had dumps. So when I say dump, I mean unregulated, just throw whatever you want, burning, no regulations at all. And very often they used to throw the trash right into wetlands because wetlands were wastelands. They had no use for wetlands. They just were breeding grounds for mosquitoes, and you couldn't build your home there, and so they threw garbage in them, which today is completely illegal. But if you think before that, what were, like, if you think back to, you know, the days of Little House on the Prairie, what kinds of garbage did they have? Did they have plastic? Obviously not. Did they have much metal? If they did have metal, many metal scrap was probably taken back to the blacksmith. Their waste was pretty much all completely, biodegradable. Just they probably had a little place in the backyard to throw their garbage, and they really didn't have very much garbage at all. And over time, if you look in the chart in your lab manual, you've got your amount of waste has definitely changed over time, but not just the amount of waste has changed, but also your types of waste. What do you see changing the most? If you look at figure 2, what do you see changing the most? From 1960 to about 2010?
Go ahead.
It would be the plastics. We see a lot more plastics coming on. And that's because, well, they didn't know what to do with the gunk at the bottom of a barrel, and then they figured out they can make plastic out of it, and they marketed it to us. And now we're finding we're having all sorts of problems with plastic. Everything from the leachate coming off of plastics and getting into our food and drinking water to just trying to dispose of the plastic, and the plastic ending up in the oceans and birds eating it and causing all sorts of problems with the food chain. So we have plastic now, and that's the reason why we essentially had to stop burning garbage. We recognized that by burning plastics in particular, we were putting dioxins in the air and other nasty chemicals. And when you put those in the air, they are essentially carcinogenic, and they're going to fall out somewhere. We're at the cogenerating facility. It's called the cogenerators. They are called the cogenerators because they generate both heat and electricity. That's why they're called cogenerators. They're generating two things, and they're using both of them. In fact, the first time I ever came here, I actually got the inside tour, and what you're seeing here is a huge garage where they store all different vehicles for the highway department. And it was January, and it was a balmy 80 degrees in the garage because of all the heat that the cogenerators are putting off. So they are using this heat as well. There's another commodity though. So there's heat and there's electricity that they get from this, but the last commodity is that it's a green tag. In other words, this electricity is considered to be a green source of energy. So there's a green tag associated with it, which makes it very valuable electricity that the gas and electric companies are very eager to have, because they are mandated by the federal government to get a certain percentage of their electricity from green sources. So that green tag makes this very, very valuable. But the question is, how green is it? All right, well, let's talk about what was in your article, your reading assignment for today. What is one of the benefits of landfill gas energy? One of the reasons why it's really, really good. It's the cheapest of the renewable energies. Thank you. So in other words, it's cheaper than solar, cheaper than wind, cheaper than water, cheaper than geothermal. It is the cheapest of the renewable energies. What's another benefit of it?
Well, the methane's going to happen whether you capture it or not and utilize it. So you
Yeah.
can still utilize something that's occurring.
Yeah, so in other words, if the methane was just they're capturing the methane and they're using it. Sometimes, though, landfills don't have the cogenerators, or there's too much methane gas being produced. So they have what's called a flare, and you saw that picture on D2L. That was a flare. It kind of looks like a gigantic Olympic torch. So by law, they have to burn the methane, because if you remember, methane is one of the most potent greenhouse gases, so it has to be burned. It's also quite volatile, and it's heavy, and it can sometimes land in pockets and asphyxiate people or animals. So they have to burn it by law. Rather than just letting it escape into the air. And they do have detectors. They'll go around the tops of landfills with detectors detecting if there's any methane leaks. Is there any other benefits from the article that the article listed? So mainly it is a very cheap renewable source of energy. It is preventing methane from being wasted and being put out into the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas. Those are two fundamental things. But what's the issue? What's the controversy? Yes.
Well, all the products going into it aren't renewable.
Yeah, exactly. You are encouraging them to put more food and organic waste in the landfills, to make methane gas energy. So it's making, it's sort of supporting the idea that we keep landfills. And it might be taking stuff away from, say, our biodigester at UW Oshkosh. So it's sort of supporting the idea that we continue to use landfills, which is sort of a downfall. And there's a lot of dispute over, well, is this really a green source of energy because landfills in themselves are not a green thing? So something for you to think about. Did I answer all the questions in your lab manual?